Yo, what's going on, everybody? We got another Make or Break Sports special for you coming at you tonight. Today is Friday, August 25th. You got Matt, you got Ben over there. You can't hear us, you can't see us. You can hear us, but you can't see us because we're bringing you a special mock draft tonight. We got a 10-team PPR. Matt, you over there, buddy?
What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone's having a great day. Welcome to our first mock draft special. Like Ben said, I'm Matt over here. So what's going on?
All right, so today we're getting closer into the draft season, Matt. So I think we're going to tell people a little bit about a mock draft here. We're going to do a 10-team PPR. It's going to help us prepare a little bit for ours as well. We're using a website today called Draft Wizard by Fantasy Pros. If you guys never checked out Fantasy Pros before, check them out. They are awesome. They got a lot of good stuff. They're partnered with FanDuel, so they have stuff going on with that as well. But you can do your leagues on here. You can do NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL. They have daily fantasy sports. They got podcasts. Not us yet, unfortunately, but maybe one day. But they got it all on here. But we're going to take you through a mock draft today using this website, and I'm going to show you how cool this website is. So we're going to set up a PPR league. You can set up all your different settings and stuff right up here. So we got a regular league. We got a PPR, snake, 10 teams. And then down here, you can set up your roster position. So this is set up to the standard ESPN one, which is 7 bench players, a defense, a kicker, which no one cares about, a flex. Then you got your 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 1 tight end. Down here, when you're a pro member like I am, you can pay. It's a couple dollars to become a pro member, and it's definitely worth it. You can set all this stuff down here where it has average draft position, your pre-draft rankings. This will be now this is all computerized with the exception of us, but the computer makes expert style and advanced style picks. So it will not just pick, the next best available, which you might get with a auto draft. So the experts will be picking. We're going to set our ESPN PPR pre-draft rankings, so that's what will be shown on there. And Matt, here we go. Let's see what pick we get, buddy. What are you hoping for here?
I'm hoping we get, I don't know. I'd like to see it. Any pick really would be good. Let's see what it is.
Randomized. We got the 4 spot. Look at that.
Oh, the 4 pick, baby.
All right.
So we're going to be taking.
That's exciting because this is going to help him out a little bit. So Here we go. 4th pick. I'm going to explain this a little bit before we get going, though, too, because on here there's a lot of stuff pretty cool that I can show you. So as you can see, how it works is it shows who was picked before us over here. So you got Lev Bell off the board, David Johnson, Antonio Brown, pretty standard. And then you have this right here is the suggested players to consider. So this is who the computer recommends taking, who you should take at this point in time. But you can click any kind here. You can click quarterbacks only, best quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, et cetera, et cetera. You can do overall, where it'll give you the overall list of players, like in order. So that's who they have ranked 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it may be. I normally go with suggested. And then down here is where the cheat sheets are. So you got your overall listed, your quarterbacks, all your running backs, wide receivers. You can expand them, make them smaller, whatever, make them bigger, show all of them. So that's just pretty cool how it has that. But my favorite thing about this that I really love, Matt, is it has this pick predictor. And when you click on this, it gives you the chances that they're going to be there or not be there for your next pick or up to 3 rounds in advance. Click and see, like, oh, what are the chances T.Y. Hilton's there 2 rounds from now? He has an 80% chance that he gets picked. Or 1 round from now, there's a 30% chance he gets picked. So that's up to your next pick, which is pretty cool to me. I think that's really cool. And then you got your roster up here, and you have whatever you need. So you got all your stuff right here. So we're going to take you through it. All right, Matt, so we got the 4 pick. Lev Bell, David Johnson, Antonio Brown off the board. Pretty standard for 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I think your top 3 picks in most leagues, PPR and standard, are probably going to go either Johnson or Bell, number 1, and then Brown, either 2 or 3, and then the other running back 2 or 3 as well. So I think those 3 picks are pretty much what you're going to expect unless someone does something crazy. So at this spot, I think you probably should be choosing, in my opinion, between McCoy or Julio Jones. Running back, not a very deep position this year, so I think McCoy has a lot of value, and I think Julio Jones is just edges Beckham just slightly due to the injury, and I think they passed the ball a little more, so I like Julio as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you and I are kind of on the same page. I think with the running back scarcity you have, you should go LaShawn McCoy is definitely a safe play. They're saying LaShawn McCoy might lead that team in receptions this year. I think the next best option here would personally be Odell Beckham. I know he's a little banged up, but I think he always has a slow start anyway, so I think if he misses 1 or 2 weeks, it would not be the worst thing in the world. He'd still perform like a top 3 wide receiver. Julio Jones for me, I just think that he doesn't get the red zone looks. I know that might change this year, but I think LaShawn McCoy is the only offense that they have in Buffalo. So, I mean, I think LaShawn McCoy is our choice here.
I like LaShawn McCoy at the 4 pick right here.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take LaShawn McCoy, and we'll see who goes off the board. We got Beckham went 5, Julio Jones went 6, Mike Evans 7, Jay Ajayi 8, Melvin Gordon 9, and Devontae Freeman 10. So there go all your running backs. You got 3 in a row at the end of the first. And then in the second round, right before us, you got 6 picks. You got A.J. Green, Michael Thomas, Jordy Nelson, then DeMarco Murray, Jordan Howard, and Ezekiel Elliott up in the second round, the 6th pick.
Yeah, wow.
6th
guy.
So you can see those it goes running back, then wide receiver, and then 3 wide receivers, then 3 running backs, then 3 wide receivers, then running backs. And that's what you're going to see, I feel like, in a lot of these drafts. It's a good thing we got our running back because the running backs definitely fall off, I think, after this point. So Matt, let's look at who we have here. Are we thinking wide receiver here? We're going to think about – I don't think there's any running backs that really stand out other than maybe Todd Gurley at this point, but that's a little early for me, in my opinion.
I think the key is when you're going with – McCoy at that first pick, I think you definitely need to sling back and get a wide receiver. I think, as you see here with where's T.Y. Hilton? Was he taken?
No, we got T.Y. Hilton still on the board. He's down there.
Oh, wow.
So let's go. We can look at here. We can look at the wide receivers really quick here.
So let's agree we're going wide receiver. I think we need to go wide receiver.
Yeah, I completely agree. So you got all your listed wide. See, this is where this is cool because you have all your receivers over here on this right side, and then up here, once you click on them down here, it brings them up here. And you can actually put where you want. And I'm going to click this setting, which I really like. It's a summary view. It actually has all of the info you need. It has what they think the strength of schedule it has, and what they call value-based drafting, which is something I look at a lot. And that's the value you're getting for that player at that position. So if you're taking somebody, if you're getting a steal on a guy later than what they might normally go, that's where you're going to get a good value. So we're definitely looking at receiver here, Matt. Des Bryant, Doug Baldwin, Amari Cooper, T.Y. Hilton, Demaryius Thomas are the 5 guys that we have listed on the board right now. I think those are one of the guys we're going to look at, I think, for sure here.
Yeah, I think you definitely need to take wide receiver at this spot. Take Dez. I think Dez is solid at that spot. I
think getting Dez at the turn at 2-7, so that would be 17th overall. I mean, I think that's not a steal necessarily, but I think he has potential to be that breakout. I don't know if you saw him play the other night. He had a nice touchdown catch last weekend.
Against my
he looks pretty good right now. And I think, again, I mean, we don't have to shoot them down. But I think Dez, I think we both agree on Dez here. I think that's our safest bet.
Go with it.
I think for T.Y. Hilton here, I'm not as high as on Amari Cooper at this point, but I think T.Y. Hilton would be my other choice here.
I would
take Dez off the board.
I'm surprised they have Hilton ranked so low. I would probably take Hilton over Baldwin or I believe it was Cooper.
Cooper, yes. Okay, so then right after us, guys, we had T.Y. Hilton went right after us. Then we had Todd Gurley, and then Gronk rounded out the second round. So there's the first tight end off the board, which you expect. Back of the second round is a pretty good value for Gronk. I think that's a good spot. Then you got Doug Baldwin, Amari Cooper, Demaryius Thomas, so 3 wide receivers starting out round 3. So now we have flexibility, having the running back and wide receiver already. We can really go anywhere we want with this, Matt. As a personal preference, I normally go running back heavy and try and get a good running back here. But this is a kind of a point in that draft where the running backs might not necessarily stand out at you. Since Gurley went, if Gurley was there at this point, I would definitely consider taking him.
Yeah, Gurley would be an awesome pick.
Here is the wide receivers that are on the board, or guys we're not so high on, with DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Cooks, and Keenan Allen. We're not super high on those guys. So that's another thing that we have to consider looking at as well. What do you think? What are your thoughts? I mean, I know where I would probably go around this area, but I mean, I know you're not as high on Crowell as I am, but we have other options as well. So I want to hear what you think.
Well, in this position, I personally am a little different. I always like to go receiver, get the receivers heavy just with the PPR format. I think receivers now, for that fantasy football, is switching to more of a receiver game. However, I do see. So you would what? You would lean towards Crowell in this position.
I would lean toward Crowell, but I also am high on Lamar Miller. I'm also high on Leonard Fournette. So those are other 2 guys for running backs that I would consider at this point, because I think the other guys are going to be a reach. And as you can see, as you get down here, they do have a good chance at coming back around to us. Dalvin Cook's a guy I really like this year. I'm starting to get higher and higher on Cook. I think he's won that starting job, but I think he'll be there the next round for us if we wait. So, I mean, I can definitely see taking a wide receiver. I can even see taking Travis Kelce here, honestly.
Yeah, I think this is a little early for Kelce. I think it's a little bit of a reach for him. I think you can wait and get him later, or you could get similar value in a guy like Olsen or Rudolph or someone of that nature. I personally, for me, in this position, my pick would probably have to be Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, I like that too. I was just looking at him actually. Terrell Pryor coming over. The interesting stat that came over that I saw yesterday from Washington, Matt, is that they tend to have, when you lose a big name receiver, the year after Deshaun Jackson leaves an offense, the offense struggles. It happened when he left Philly, and the offense after that went downhill. And whenever you lose that second receiver, I feel like numbers go down. But I think with Terrell Pryor coming in, it's completely different because it's all new guys. So I think I'm going to agree with you here. I think Terrell Pryor is our safe pick here. It's a guy we're both pretty high on. We saw that one-handed catch he had. So let's go ahead and we're going to draft Terrell Pryor.
I like Terrell Pryor. I think you could wait. I really like both those rookie running backs. And did they go? Oh,
yep. Dalvin Cook went, McCaffrey went, Fournette went.
All right.
Right, but that's all right. We got a lot of options here. So the thing is, I'm interested. Travis Kelce went one pick before us, and I would have jumped all over him. I think if he was on the board there.
In that spot, I would take him.
Yeah. So now, and guys, another cool thing that we have with this draft, we're not going to use, but you can revert your pick. So, for example, if you're trying to strategize and you want to figure out where you have to take people, you can do these drafts over and over again. And this revert pick, you can actually, it'll take you back to your last pick, and you can remake it. So, for example, if we were like, oh, we're pissed that Dalvin Cook went, we could switch it out and take Dalvin Cook there and just keep going the draft going just to see what your draft would look like instead. But here, so now, Matt, I think we have to try and go running back with one of these running backs. Okay, Crowell's still on the board, so Crowell didn't go there. So for me, I think this for me would be a no-brainer. I would take Crowell.
I think Crowell has a ton of value in this position. I think for the third round, that's a little early for him. I think right around here is an appropriate value for Isaiah Crowell. I think out of all the running backs left, he's probably the only one I would jump on right here, maybe Ty Montgomery. I'm really big on all the rookie running backs, Fournette, McCaffrey, and Dalvin Cook. So if one of those three would have slid to us here, I would probably take them in some drafts.
So Joe Mixon doesn't stand out here either. Joe Mixon's still on the board.
See, I'm not a fan of Joe Mixon, and if you haven't seen any of our usual regular episodes, our podcasts usually come out every Monday night. Check those out. We did talk a little bit about Joe Mixon. I'm not a big Joe Mixon fan. I personally wouldn't take him in this position. Just too much uncertainty for me with Joe Mixon at this spot. I'm kind of leaning.
Yeah, I completely agree.
What do we have?
I think Crowell. Wide receiver wise, you have Golden Tate, Larry Fitzgerald, Alshon Jeffrey, who I'm not super high on. Michael Crabtree's a guy that I'm becoming even more of a fan of, but we have the two wide receivers right now. So I think if we don't go running back here, we either go Tom Brady, which I'm a Rodgers or wait kind of guy. But and tight end, I feel like we can still wait a little bit because there's guys like Zach Ertz down there way later, Jordan Reed still on the board, and Kyle Rudolph and Tyler Eifert.
Kyle Rudolph's the guy that I really like at tight end. So and he hasn't been going very early.
Yeah, we have a while. I think there's a less than 1%. You can't go by these either because you know that, like I said, the computer just does random stuff too sometimes. So Kyle Rudolph is there. I don't know if you saw Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz looked really good last night. They had him playing in the slot. So he's a guy. But I think right here, I think Crowell should be our pick.
I think Crowell is the move right here in the fourth round.
And just another thing to look at here, guys. And I know you don't worry about bye weeks too much in the draft, but you do have to consider them a little bit. Because if we were to take Joe Mixon there, we would have McCoy, Bryant, and Mixon all at the same bye week. And that's when it gets tough. If you have two guys and they're on the same bye, two starters, maybe even three, that's okay. But then with Mixon being our third, we would have had to make sure that none of the other positions, and that really limits our availability a little bit. So we'll go ahead and take Crowell here in the fourth round. I think that's a steal for him, and you'll be able to look at that after as well. Then we got Tom Brady went right after us, then Jeffrey, Stephon Diggs, Larry Fitzgerald, followed by Greg Olsen and Mark Ingram, who's actually climbing up my draft boards as well. Mark Ingram's been impressive. I think he has the capability. Last year, Tim Hightower was in that offense, and Tim Hightower really took a lot of work away from him, but I think that's the role Peterson's going to play. So I think Ingram's really going to have his same workload as last year, but he's off the board, so we don't have to worry about that now. So, Matt, where do you lean going here? Because this is where you and I would probably differ a little bit.
Right here is an interesting spot. As you said, I'm a big proponent of like you said, if you don't get the Rodgers or the Brady, you wait and you hang in there, and then you can get some better value way later in the draft. So this is kind of a spot where, depending on your league, so let's just, in this case, for example, there's the only couple guys that I'm really looking at, I think it'd be tough between Ty Montgomery, because you could really shore up your running game. I love Ty Montgomery in PPR format specifically. So I really do like him. I think that Crabtree or Tate would be solid at the wide receiver position. I'm not a super big fan of Allen Robinson with what's going on with quarterback-wise, so I would probably rule him out over Crabtree or Tate in this position. Or we could throw him in there. Or now you talk about, do you want to go get a very upper-tier tight end, such as Jordan Reed, such as I think Olsen went, so you'd be with Graham or Rudolph. I personally am not a big fan of having Jordan Reed and Pryor, just because
Could not agree more. Could not agree more with you there, buddy. I'm when there's target shares, the only person I don't worry about target shares for is Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. They're the only two where they could have and Drew Brees. They can have as much targets as they want. You guys are going to get catches. We're going to get rid of Jordan Reed because I'm the same way. Jordan Reed and Terrell Pryor are going to be the two main pass catchers in that offense. But I don't think there's enough room for both of them to succeed week after week together.
I think it's tough to put a lot of stock in a Washington offense that is not that proven. Right now, for me, just based on I would personally probably wait on the tight end because I think Rudolph and Graham will be there coming back.
I agree, yeah.
I would probably either go with Crabtree or Montgomery. So that depends on whether you want to go running back or wide receiver.
Okay, so here's my big thing, and here's how I'm looking at this right now. If we go Michael Crabtree here, I think he's going to be – it says here 86% chance. He's almost guaranteed to be gone. We have 12 picks before our next turn. I think even if we lose out on Montgomery, we're going to have the availability to get guys like Woodhead, Spencer Ware, Bilal Powell, Amir Abdullah in that next pick. And I think they're not as good as Montgomery, but I don't think they're necessarily like much worse than him.
I like Michael Crabtree here.
So I think Crabtree's the smart pick. Another wide receiver, animal in the red zone, more catches than Amari Cooper a lot of times in the red zone. And so if you look here, look at that. Ty Montgomery's still on the board, Matt.
Is he really?
So
Holy cow.
Allen Robinson went, Jordan Reed and Jimmy Graham went, so back-to-back tight ends. Then Mixon, Breeze, Tyreek Hill. Then you got Matt Ryan, Sammy Watkins, Russell Wilson, and then back three wide receivers with Tate Edelman and Martavis Bryant. So, Matt, I think this one's going to be pretty easy for us, honestly. I don't think there's really any question.
I don't know that this would happen in any other draft formats. Just depending on people in your league, how high you are on Ty Montgomery. I think right here to have a guy like Ty Montgomery, who for a lot of people could be their second running back, and I've even seen some mock drafts that people go wide receiver heavy or take Gronk, and he ends up being your best running back. I would go Ty Montgomery here because his bye week, is good. Well. His bye week lines up well with our other running backs, so I think he's a good guy to get. I would take Ty Montgomery.
His overall ranking was 40th overall. We're getting him at 57, so I mean that's pretty much a steal. We both have him at running back 16 in our rankings. We do have Danny Woodhead a little higher, but I'm starting to come down on Woodhead a little bit, especially because there is injury concerns with him there again now. They're saying he's hurt, banged up. I think Ty Montgomery's our pick here, and we're going to move on to the next round. Let's see who goes off the board here. So, man, we got Ty Montgomery on our bench.
That's crazy.
That's kind of crazy.
I think this is a pretty good little team we've built here. We have a good little nucleus. How's that for your your make or break sports word of the day?
Make or break sports word of the day. The computer's being a little slow right here. Let's see. Hopefully she picks back up. Come on.
So I'm looking at this pick probably now. I would be thinking I would lean towards the tight end spot.
If it ever works here, man. I don't know what's going on.
No worries. Got enough time.
Yeah, we can just look over here right now. So we got LaShawn McCoy. We got a solid running back. We got another solid running back in Isaiah Crowell. Des Bryant, wide receiver 1 potential. Terrell Pryor, wide receiver that we think is going to break out and fit in there pretty well. And then Michael Crabtree, another guy that can be a wide receiver 2 for a lot of teams. And I just think everything's setting up right now. And I mean, but looks like let's see what's going on here. Server error. I don't know what that means. Oh, this is not a good sign. This normally does not happen. Everybody's probably doing mock drafts right now. That's the issue.
Yeah, really. I bet you this is a pretty busy time for anything to happen right now, mock draft wise.
That or everybody's trying to get the Mayweather fight weigh in.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Oh man. So But let's see here. So let's just take a look at where. So in the 6th round, Matt Ryan, I think that's a good spot for him. If you can get him in the 6th round, I think that's a pretty fair spot, I guess you can say. But I mean, oh, there we go. Okay, we got it working again now.
Nice.
Back up and rolling. All right. Sorry about the delay there, guys. As you can see, Ty Montgomery sitting on our bench, which is unbelievable. I mean, we could definitely put him in there in that flex position like we talked about. All right, Matt. So let's take a look now. So between us, Hyde, Benjamin, and Danny Woodhead went, and then Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, and Emmanuel Sanders went. So a couple of different things to look at here, Matt. There's a couple guys I wouldn't mind taking here. We did talk about the tight end a little bit. We still have Kyle Rudolph on the board. We still got Zach Ertz, who I like on the board. An interesting spot here, I think, that I would be considering is Andrew Luck still on the board.
My boy Andrew Luck,
7th round.
my Colt man.
So I don't. For me, right here, this is where I would consider. This is the earliest I would consider Luck, but I think it's a good spot that he fell to us here. I think that could work for us there. I think we got options as well with Jamison Crowder, Willie Snead at the wide receiver position. Like we talked about, we got Kyle Rudolph, and we have Zach Ertz there as well.
See,
what are your thoughts
This
here?
is a spot where, like you said, I think this is a decent spot for Andrew Luck here in the 7th round. I think this is probably a little late for him. Now, he kind of slipped in this draft, and I'm under the full impression that Andrew Luck is going to start week 1. Even if not, when healthy, he's a super solid quarterback in the NFL for fantasy-wise. I would have no problem taking Luck here. I like Luck at this spot. I think for me it's between Luck and Rudolph.
Yeah, here's how I'm looking at it. I do like Kyle Rudolph. I think he's going to have a good year. But I also, like I said, I'm super high on Eifert and Ertz and Delaney Walker. I think those guys are all relatively in the same caliber. Maybe Kyle Rudolph with a tick above them. But I think here for the value, I think Luck would be a good fit for us here.
Yeah, I think you sure up that we have 3 running backs, 3 receivers.
Yeah, that's what gives us that roster flexibility. When you fill out the 3 running back and 3 wide receiver positions that early, you can really you have these picks to do what you kind of want. Like you can take the best available. So we'll go ahead and take Andrew Luck, and hopefully it works this time and doesn't keep freezing on. Nope, it's going to keep freezing on us, but we'll get through it. I don't know.
We'll persevere.
We'll persevere.
Make or break sports perseveres technical issues. I like Andrew Luck there. Add my boy to the squad. I'm a huge fan of Andrew Luck, obviously being a Colts fan. So I really like him at this spot. I think when he does come back full steam ahead, I think that he's going to be solid. I know his strength of schedule was listed as pretty tough relatively. But, I mean, in terms of the Colts, with their defense being as poor as they are, you're gonna get into some shootouts. Luck is going to definitely benefit from some shootouts and get some garbage fantasy points as always. So I like him a lot. I think getting him as our quarterback is solid. As we said, we have 3 good running backs, I would say. McCoy, obviously a lower tier superstar running back. Crowell, solid. Montgomery, very solid for PPR. I like Bryant and Pryor. And then Crabtree, obviously, you get him. That's a solid wide receiver to add there to put in our flex. So right now, no tight end picked. That's tough. Probably going to have to think about going tight end with this next pick, I would think.
Yeah, if we get to make another pick here, I definitely think tight ends are where we're going to lean toward. I mean, we got to see what values are on the board. But, all right, there we go. We got Luck. We're back up and rolling. We said, sorry about the delays here, guys, but we're getting through. Kyle Rudolph, Matt, stuck around.
I saw that there was a chance of Rudolph sticking around.
So just to give you guys a little rundown quick, we got Winston, Jamison Crowder, Cam Newton, and then you had Willie Snead, Brandon Marshall, Devontae Parker, who has looked great with Jay Cutler last night.
Yeah, Cutler looked good. Cutler looks very good.
Jay Cutler's picking out Devontae Parker, so I think Parker's stock is definitely rising going in the 7th round. Then Garcon, and then running back with Tevin Coleman, C.J. Anderson, Spencer Ware. So we're getting to that point now where we definitely need that tight end. We do only have 6 picks until our next go-around, so we can kind of get a basis here on who we keep our eye on these players. Anyway, yeah, I mean, for me, Matt, Kyle Rudolph's the pick here, but is there a guy you see, a wide receiver you might like anymore, or a running back that you like? I don't really know. Like we said, we don't really know who is going to go in between there, but I mean, Rudolph's our safest bet.
I think Kyle Rudolph for this pick
in
the 8th round, I think Kyle Rudolph gives you incredible value. I think that I think he's the move. I would go Kyle Rudolph. Then we have
Kyle Rudolph.
because I can't believe he fell this late. I think that's a solid little team we got going on right here, Ben. I like Rudolph a lot.
All right, so here we go. So Kyle Rudolph. Then after that, we had Moncrief, Doug Martin, Frank Gore, Adrian Peterson, Jeremy Macklin, and Cam Meredith off the board.
I think we took luck at the right time because, as you see, 2 quarterbacks went right off the board right after we made that.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that was a good pick. And then after that, it falls off. I mean, Mariota's up there, but then after that, I think there's a great fall off between, like, Roethlisberger, Prescott. I mean, Roethlisberger's up there, but, his home road splits are shaky. We have him ranked pretty high. But that's because he's going to put up numbers when he does perform. So, Matt, I think here's where it gets interesting, especially, I think, because you have a couple good running back options here. And then the running backs really fall off after about 4 more. I think Riddick and Gillislee are good options here. I like Duke Johnson a lot, especially because we have Crowell. If Crowell were to go down or not perform, we could throw Duke Johnson in there. And then Terrence West, another for sure starter. So I think those are guys to look at here. But I also really like, and the thing about it for me is wide receiver wise, there's a bunch that are still there, and you have value coming back later as well.
For me, this pick it's a tough one, and it depends on personal preference. I think normally, based on our roster makeup right now, I would tend to lean towards the wide receiver position. But I think there's a lot of value at running back right here, right now. I think you got to look at some guys. Terrence West, a starting running back. LeGarrette Blount, a starting running back. Duke Johnson obviously would be a great handcuff. I think in PPR he would be a solid pick, especially for guys like us who have Isaiah Crowell. Duke Johnson has a lot of handcuff potential here to be a solid pick.
Yeah, and I think the two picks here that I would look at, or the two options are, A, go running back here, because then you still have the receivers you can get next round, like maybe Jordan Matthews stays on the board, Corey Coleman, Corey Davis, Zay Jones.
Your boy Zay Jones is down there.
Yeah, Zay Jones, he's got a ways down there yet. And then Eric Decker, if he were to somehow stick around, that would be I'd look at. Or you could look at wide receiver here and get a lower running back, but you can get a guy like a Darren McFadden who's going to be starting a guaranteed right now 6 games. You never know how much it might turn out to. Or a Jaquiz Rogers who's going to start 3
Also,
games.
guys to look at down there, Fat Rob Kelly, another starting running back.
And Derrick Henry, probably the best running back, probably a running back that would start on a lot of other teams, but because DeMarco Murray's there, he doesn't get the chance to start. So, I mean, for me, Matt, I'm kind of with you here. I think the running back value is too good to pass up here. But I personally like Riddick. I don't know about you, who you are a fan of here. I think Riddick PPR is going to be our safest bet.
My only issue with taking Riddick is that would leave us with 2 running backs that are their performance and their point value is basically tied into the passing game.
Okay.
Riddick and Montgomery are both probably only going to be as good as they can be in PPR when they're catching passes. I don't think that either one of them is going to get super significant work running the ball. Montgomery a little more, obviously, because he doesn't have anyone to battle with. That's why I liked him when we took him. I'm not as high on Theo Riddick. I think that with Amir Abdullah poised for a breakout season, I'm not so sure if Riddick is the guy here.
All right, so how about Terrence West?
I like Terrence West. See, I would
we'll go Terrence West. I like it as well. I think he's going to be the starter. Woodhead's hurt. We'll go Terrence West right there with the 84th overall pick. Or pick in the 9th round. I like that.
Where defense went.
So yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, and that's what you can expect defenses in your draft to maybe not go in the 10th round, but we see it every year. Defenses going in the 11th and 12th round, and there's just still value in these picks here. I mean, you still got starting running backs, starting wide receivers out there. I mean, all kinds of, everything you need. Defenses should be your next to last pick, and then your kicker last, and we don't even talk about them.
Yeah, we stream. I'm a big defense streamer. I think.
Yeah, defense and kicker streamer. You don't really, unless you get like Gostowski or Matt Bryant, Dan Bailey, Justin Tucker. With the exception of those 4, you could stream your kickers. So
right here, I think got to look wide receiver. Got to get one more solid wide receiver.
Completely agree. So we're going to go up here. We're going to click wide receivers only. So this is who they recommend, and this is how you see the strength of schedules here. Not huge on Adam Thielen.
No, I'm not
that bad with him, but I get to deal with him. A guy that we talked about last week a lot, Matt, Rashard Matthews.
Yeah, I really do. I think Rashard Matthews, like we talked about in our past episode, 9 touchdowns last year from Rashard Matthews. Clearly, Mariota likes him. we both talked about. So if you didn't go check out episode 6, we did our spotlight on the AFC South. So go check that out. A lot of good stuff over there. We did talk a lot about how we think Tennessee's offense is going to be very good this year or much improved from years past. I personally don't mind Rashard Matthews in this spot. I also, another name that pops off the page when I read it is Sterling Shepard down there. I see Jordan Matthews obviously has a chance to beat when he comes back healthy, which when he comes back from that injury could be solid. Actually, Ben, now that I look at it, Matthews wouldn't be a bad pick considering we don't need him right away anyway.
Yeah, and that's another option as well. So Matt, hear me out for this though, and this is I think Matthews is going to be our pick here because I think that's safe. This is a spot in a draft where if I'm drafting on my own for like my real team, I would absolutely have no problem taking another running back here I know we have a lot of them, but for the sole fact that the running backs here, I still think Duke Johnson is a starter. Or a guy's going to get a lot of work. I think McFadden's a guy that's going to get a lot of work, obviously, for a couple weeks. And Rob Kelly's still there as well. And running backs just fall off. They really do. Like, once you get past that couple more, there's like 3 or 4 more up there. But I just think
on this list, once you get past Giovanni Bernard or Thomas Rawls, you are in a pretty big fall off.
So that's where I just think that I would have no issue taking one there. But I think Jordan Matthews is definitely a safer pick for us here because, like you said, we don't need him right away.
I think, now that you say that, I think a guy like in this spot, maybe a guy like Rob Kelly, who has a starting job. I mean, look at him sitting there. I know we're not super – or you could go with the Duke Johnson handcuff.
And I think with the handcuff, too, the thing about Duke Johnson, guys, they're putting him in the slot. He's going to get a lot of work. So, Matt, for me, it's between Duke Johnson or Jordan Matthews, and I'm going to let you make the call.
I like Duke Johnson. I know it's crazy to go 3 running backs in a row, but that really bolsters our running back core.
All right, Duke Johnson. I think there's a chance Jordan Matthews could still be around for our next pick, and he is. So there you go. See, we took the gamble. We took the gamble there, waited it out. We took another running back, and off the board, Delaney Walker, Derrick Henry, Adam Thielen, Rex Burkhead, Martellus Bennett, and Eddie Lacy all went. So, Matt, I think this one's a no-brainer for us, though, since we're going to take him last round and waited. Do you want to go Jordan Matthews here?
I love Jordan Matthews at this spot. I think he's going to come back healthy. We don't need him right off the bat. He might miss a couple weeks, but if so, we still have
Jordan Matthews.
I like Jordan Matthews. I think he is solid. I think he has a chance to actually be very good. He really could be.
Boy. All right. So coming back around, Matt, off the board, we had Kareem Hunt, Mike Wallace, Fat Rob Kelly, Zach Ertz, Kenny Britt, Marvin Jones. Then starting the 12th round, John Brown, Hunter Henry, James White, Eric Ebron, Darren McFadden, and Jack Doyle. So, see, we took that running back when we did with Duke Johnson, and now it really kind of falls off. CJ Prosise, I think, is going to have a bad year. Sproles is a decent option, but they have a lot of options there in Philly right now. Clement looks good, and so does Donnell Pumphrey. Matt Forte's old. I still think he can move a little. He's getting old. But the running backs, I don't think we need any more of them, honestly. So
I personally think running back is probably good for us right now.
So now the options we have to consider are, do we want to double up? Do we need another quarterback? With the luck injury concerns, we do have Mariota and we have Roethlisberger still on the board. We have Dak on the board. So I don't necessarily have to draft 2 quarterbacks. And I don't think it's a necessity. You could always stream the guy for the week you might need on bye week. If you have a guy like Andrew Luck injured, it might be a little different. But for right now, I think there's a guy on the board that I really like at this spot, and that's Rashard Matthews. We were talking about him 2 rounds ago, and he's still there for us in the 12th round.
His bye week is 8, so that doesn't conflict with any of our other wide receivers. So I think for me, Ben, I'm looking at 2 names, Matthews being one of them, and then I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but Marcus Mariota, bye week not the same as Luck. So
who does he play at Luck's bye week?
That's something that you need to look at. Guys, going forward for your drafts, it is important to look at that. If you are getting a quarterback who has whatever bye week and you're trying to get just a bye week filler.
Okay, so let's take a look at it. So also, just to show this, Matt, the first week of the year, in case Luck misses, the Titans play the Raiders, who their defense is not very good, not great. Then they play the Jaguars week 2. And the Jaguars have a pretty good pass defense, so I think that one could be tougher. But if you go to week 11,
Ravens
defense is hit or miss. They always play tough, but I don't think they're necessarily that good. So I'm okay with Mariota there.
I think Mariota just has a ton of value this late. Obviously, you could see there's a good chance that he's going to get picked
Yeah,
next.
77% chance he's gone. We still have a chance that Matthews coming back around to us also. So
Yeah,
I like Mariota. I
Matthews
think we
could
should
come
do
back.
it.
Also, some other names to look at there. Guys like I know you don't really need to handcuff wide receivers as much, but Cole Beasley you see is there. I think Kenny Golladay has a lot of value, upside potential. Sterling Shepard as well. So I think running back or wide receivers, there's still some value lower down. I right now think that the best value pick is probably Mariota because I think he's a
Let's
guy.
do it. Let's take him. Let's take the 2 quarterback and go with it.
I think he's a guy that I would be almost comfortable with him being my full-blown starter, and here you're getting him as a backup, or you could play the matchups. Because as you saw, the Colts have a pretty tough schedule against the pass for Luck, as we saw when we drafted him. So who knows? Maybe you could play the matchups with Mariota if he gets really hot.
Whenever they play the Colts twice a year.
Yeah, exactly. So, I like that pick. I think that gives you some flexibility. You can trade him. You can stream him. You could just sit him and play him when you need Luck. Play the matchups. I like that pick. I think Marcus Mariota.
So then right off the board, we got Sproles, the Texans defense, Dak Prescott, and Cole Beasley. Unfortunately, Rashard Matthews did go right before us, and then CJ Fedorowicz.
I like that.
Yeah. So, okay. So now, Zay Jones, I love, but we drafted Jordan Matthews.
I think that's – I don't like that double up.
Yeah, I don't either just because the double up, but I do think Zay Jones is a good pick at that spot in the 13th round. I think that's a good value there. I'm really high on Ted Ginn, but Matt, I tell you what I think we need to look at here is if not a wide receiver, I would consider, and I don't consider it much, but I would consider drafting another tight end here.
Yeah.
I normally don't like drafting the 2 tight ends, but for me, it's a position where I think we have the roster flexibility to do
Rudolph's
it.
bye is 9. So what do we have tight end bye week?
Tight end wise, let's see. We got Jason Witten, Kobe Fleener, Austin Hooper, Cameron Brate. All of them are different bye weeks. Antonio Gates, Julius Thomas. Antonio Gates has the same bye week, so he'll be out. So I'm okay with another tight end here, but I'm also okay. I'm looking over here at the board now, Matt, and I'm seeing Sterling Shepard still up there. And
I think that's the name that keeps popping off the page for me is Sterling Shepard. I think that because if we talked about the Giants a couple specials ago or a couple episodes ago, I don't like Brandon Marshall as much. I kind of think Shepard has a lot of value here. And once again, his bye week also doesn't conflict with any of our wide receivers. I'd be fine with taking Shepard here and seeing how he progresses. Yeah, I think he's a little more consistent than Ginn. I don't know how Ginn is going to produce. He's such a home run guy.
The only thing for me with Ginn is playing with Drew Brees. You know he likes throwing the ball, especially with Brandon Cooks gone. I know Snead's going to take over that majority of like the wide receiver 2 role, but I think that Ginn would be a good option here as well. But I'm okay with Sterling Shepard. So we're going to go ahead and draft him. He's a good red zone target. We'll take Sterling Shepard there. So we got one more bench spot, and then we got a defense and our kicker left. Matt, I don't know what jumps off the page at you here, but for me, it's Jacquizz Rodgers. I know we didn't say any more running backs, but he's a guy that can start for 3 weeks. If it's not him for me, it's going to be Kenny Golladay. Those are the 2 guys that I really like at this spot. I think Kenny Golladay is that deep flyer. But Kenny Golladay, I think, has a lot of value. He's getting a lot of good work, especially with the first team there, alongside with Golden Tate and Marvin Jones. So for me, it's Golladay at this point. By week 7, no other team.
Did Cameron Brate go? Yes. No.
No, Cameron Brate didn't go.
See, he's not a bad guy in my opinion here. Oh wow, he's not going to go next either. Wow.
We only have this is our last position player pick. So.
Yeah. I think honestly at this point you don't really need to draft another tight end. I think that Rudolph's a guy that's good enough that we probably wouldn't need him. Let's rule out taking another tight end because I think that we could stream and find a guy for his bye week replacement. I'm not completely against taking the Seahawks here, Ben.
I was just about to say the exact same thing, honestly. If you get the Seahawks defense here, we have a full roster basically already, and I think Golladay will be there next round. So I'm okay with that. I mean, I say we roll with that.
I'm a big-time fan of them. They have the easiest schedule in terms of defenses. You lock down a solid defense. I know that goes against what
Can we take Golladay here now, though?
What's that?
All right, so wide receiver, we took the Seahawks D, and then Hill, Rodgers, Stewart went, our running backs, and then the Chiefs defense, the Cardinals defense, and Eli went off the board. So Here, I'm okay with really anything. I think we definitely should just go wide receiver and try and take that flyer, the guy that we really think can really impress this year. Cooper Kupp's a guy I see up there. Kenny Stills, another deep ball threat with Miami, the guy that Cutler always likes going to, the deep ball guys.
I'm a big fan of Kenny Golladay here.
That's who I have up there. That's who I said at the start. I think Golladay is the most popular flyer right now. So I say we go ahead and roll with Golladay, Matt. And then we're going to take our kicker guys. And the cool thing about this draft is I'm going to show you some of the stuff at the end. It actually ranks your draft. It gives you a grade. Don't ever go by the grades because it does go by injuries and where you drafted them. It's all about what you like. And, Matt, what kicker do you want? I think Will Lutz. He kicks in the dome. That's what I look at.
Kicking in dome is huge.
Matt Prater also. I mean, we don't look at kickers that much, but I think Prater or Lutz.
I say Lutz because I think the Saints rather are going to have to score a lot of points to be competitive.
So that's the most we'll ever hear is talk about kickers right there, guys. But here we go. We're going to draft Will
dome
Lutz.
Kickers, though. Definitely get a dome kicker.
Let's see. All right, we got a B+. So we did pretty good there.
Yeah,
Matt.
I think a B+ grade is pretty good.
So it does projected standings based on your starters and your bench. We had the third best projected starting lineup. So it goes by the projected points. So you have the third best projected lineup. You can look here at your starters.
There's some funny names on this.
Yeah, it makes funny names for our league, which I think is pretty cool. But so you see our bench is pretty high. Our starters are 5th. So that'd probably be right about fighting for playoffs. But you can also go in here and look at draft analysis. You can see steals. It highlights where you got steals at. Like we got a steal with Mariota. You can look at value picks. It shows you all the different value picks in here. It shows you the reaches you made. So we reached for Luck, Shepard. But like I said, all those guys are all based on you should never go into the draft looking at their rankings. You should have your own rankings, who you like, solid team.
I like it a lot. I think we have.
Our kickers are our weakest position, which is okay for me. Our running backs are our strongest position, which is definitely okay with me.
Yep.
So I like it. I'm really a fan of this team.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this team, and I really think that we have a flexible team with Montgomery on our bench, with West on our bench. I think there's a lot of times when we probably could plug in those running backs at flex. I think we've covered ourselves with injury, the only thing that we might do differently if I were to, now that I'm thinking about it, is maybe handcuffing Shady. But that's something. And
Jonathan Williams was available with that last pick that we made there, so we definitely could have. But the whole thing for me is even if Shady gets hurt, Matt, don't forget we had guys like we had Ty Montgomery on our bench. We had another starting running back on our bench as well. With we just had Duke Johnson was there. Terrence West was on our bench. All those guys are going to be starters, and I think they could be good weak fill-ins. And that's a guy you could always make a trade with as well. But having Michael Crabtree at our flex for me was the highlight of that draft. I think he's going to go off. I think he's in for a good year. Montgomery on our bench to me is just crazy. The fact that we got that at all.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Crabtree on the flex and Montgomery on the bench. Huge. The only thing I would think about doing differently would be maybe handcuffing Shady. But, guys, that's our first ever mock draft special. We might do one or two more before the drafts. I know everybody's got your drafts coming up. But, hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. If you're not following us on social media, get after us on Facebook. Get after us on Twitter at MRB Sports. Subscribe on the channel. Go hit that sub button. Smash that like button.
Yeah, guys, don't forget Monday night we'll have our next episode of the podcast. We're going to talk about one of our final 2 divisional. We're going to go through a couple more of our rankings we have for you guys, our updated ranking. So stay tuned. But we hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're drafting this weekend, good luck. Be confident. Matt, I know you're drafting tomorrow. I know you're excited.
Yeah, big draft tomorrow for me here at my league at school, so that's going to be exciting.
Hey, go Mayweather, right?
Yeah, no, I'm rooting for McGregor. So Ben and I made a little bet on the McGregor-Mayweather fight. Going to be a lot of fun seeing how that plays out. Tune in to episode number 7 Monday night. We will see you next time, guys. Take care.
Guys, have a good weekend. Stay safe.